been building video games professionally for over 12 years, mainly as a software engineer. And what still fascinates and inspires me are the impossibly complex worlds you can build and the stories they tell. As an engineer, I've always wondered, where else can I put my problem-solving skills to good use? I'll give you a little backstory first. A little over 5 years ago, I had a bunch of personal files such as photos and documents on my USB hard drive and some others on Google Drive. Fast forward a year from then, when I connected my external hard drive to my computer, disaster struck, and a bunch of my files got corrupted because of a hard drive failure. The drive reported bad sectors which were completely unrecoverable. Fortunately, I had stored some of my important documents such as my tax filing papers on Google Drive, but I had not backed up all my photos taken on my camera to Google Photos. It surprisingly had unlimited photo backup at the time. That's what I was using. I was furious at myself for not taking care of my data. After this incident, I was on a mission to find solutions to these problems once and for all. Hi, Sush here by Freedom. I've been a professional software and game developer for over 12 years, currently living in the United Kingdom. I'm here to help you guys discover ways you can use tech in the most unconstrained way possible. Together, we'll be exploring various ways to take control of your data by putting your hardware to good use in a low-cost way using some really cool software. This could be your laptop, your phone, an old computer that you can turn into a server. I'll be showing you how to use specific software setups to solve specific problems, for example, replacing Google Drive. And it doesn't matter if you're renting or you need to make your setup more portable. You can easily move things around when you need to. To try out the things that I'll be talking about, all you will mostly need is a working computer, ideally not too old. Once you start tinkering and get your feet wet, trust me, you're gonna love it. You will want more. And the good thing is that there's plenty of free and open source software out there which will make your life easier without paying a dime in subscription fees. So, I invite you all to join me on this journey. Now back to the video. Like most people might wonder, why not just pay for some cloud services and call it a day? The obvious problem with this, which I soon realized, is that the size of your data or your needs as they grow will also increase the cost of your subscriptions. But what most of these big tech firms don't want you to know is that they have the keys to your private data vaults. Now, most reputable companies, they only access and use your data for legitimate reasons, such as improving their products and services. I might give you some degree of control over your data and privacy. But these settings are intentionally left obscure and buried deep within the settings of these apps or websites. So you have essentially allowed your personal data to be held hostage for a fee. So what was my solution to these problems, you may ask? I had to find a way to store my files locally on my network so that I could access them from any device that I own. And this is where I discovered the NAS, also known as Network Attached Storage. 4 years ago, building my own NAS was quite scary to me, so I bought a plug-and-play device from QNAP. The QNAP is actually quite user-friendly for beginners. You can store all your data as long as you provide it with the right amount of storage. And I'm talking about good old spinning hard drives here, or even SSDs if you fancy that. It also has a nice web user interface which looks like a Mac or a Windows desktop, and you can access your files from your photos from anywhere using the web UI or native apps provided by QNAP in this case. It can also do some advanced stuff such as creating block devices, setting up NFS or WebDAV network storage, running a local VPN, to name a few. I must say I really enjoyed using the QNAP for about a year or so. For an absolute beginner, I see no problem in buying one of these for your first ever network storage device. Since I wanted to tinker and be in complete control over my hardware and software, I had to ditch the QNAP for a few reasons. First, the QNAP NAS or similar devices from other companies such as Synology still run proprietary closed source software. So you have to trust them to 1. Keep your data safe and private, 2. Provide regular maintenance security software updates. The final deal breaker with the QNAP for me was being limited on hardware upgrades, mainly the storage configuration. In my case, if I wanted a third or even a fourth hard drive, I would have to upgrade from a 2-bay unit to a 4-bay one. Annoyingly, the OS was also kind of slow to boot. It took over 3 minutes until I could access the web UI. Played around with a few other solutions. I discovered that there are several free and open source solutions to run a NAS. And as you will soon see in my upcoming videos, you can run a full-fledged private cloud. Fast forward to 2026. I have a couple of machines on my network running various services. Over the course of the 3 years building this, I learned how to run multiple virtual machines on one physical computer, how to set up an open source network router, deploy really cool and useful apps on Docker, set up robust and secure ways to store your data using file systems such as ZFS and BTRFS. I've also built workflows to keep everything updated and maintained periodically. And very importantly, I have backup strategies in place so that when or if a failure happens, I can restore the data and services easily. Don't worry if you haven't heard of any of these terms, which I just mentioned. I will demystify them in the upcoming videos on specific topics. We'll be tinkering with mostly software, sometimes hardware. We may not get everything working the first time around, but with some persistence, we'll get things up and running eventually. So let's take back control of our personal data and make it usable in the best possible way, shall we? So, who are these videos for? If you're a video editor, photographer, tons of raw video files, for example. If you're a fellow tech enthusiast who likes to tinker, or if you're a data privacy advocate who champions self-hosted and open source software where you control the data, I think you're gonna feel right at home here. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.